What is the most bizarre thing that ever happened to you? Old Ben. I fell 25 feet through a roof onto an ice rink. Broke 5 vertebrae, 6 ribs, collapsed both lungs, broke my right hip and my pelvis in 3 places, and my skull in 2 places, causing a TBI and a large brain bleed that put me into a coma. Everything was a straight line break, and I didn't need surgery of any kind. Was up and walking around 3 days after the injury. Must have just gotten lucky, I guess. Got a phone call from a voice I didn't recognize, an older woman who asked me how my son Sean was doing. My son's name is Sean, so I thought she must be a distant relative I just can't place. We talked awkwardly for a minute about our lives, catching up on how my sister Sasha was doing in school and how my mother's surgery went. I mentioned my aunt, and the woman became confused. Ooh, she asked a few more questions, and it became clearly obvious we didn't know each other at all. She had dialed a wrong number looking for her niece and happened to reach a person with the same name, with a son named Sean, a sister named Sasha that was in school, and a mother who recently had surgery. I was riding a streetcar home, in a window seat with an older lady sitting next to me. She was staring ahead and clutching her purse tightly the whole time. When we arrived at my stop, I mumbled, "Excuse me," as is customary when you need to get out. Not only did the lady not budge, she ignored me twice and kept staring at nothing. I tapped her shoulder, at which she finally looked at me and let out a shriek, then turned and looked forward again. I looked around helplessly, and a couple of shrugging passengers made way for me to climb out of the seat backwards. A bit odd, I'd say. Being catcalled for no fucking reason. I had appropriate clothes on, and was just cycling and thinking in myself. I wasn't even looking at the person. Slut, bitch, what the fuck? I didn't do anything, so don't say anything. Was driving home from work and was being passed by a truck. It was about 10 yards ahead of me when all of a sudden a big fish falls out of the sky. Hits the truck's windshield and bounces. A second later, a black blur flies straight at the windshield and pulls out of the dive at the last second. It was a hawk that had dropped its fish and was trying to catch it again. August 16th. I found my best friend who lived next door after he passed himself away. I have very clear clips of that day etched into my brain, and a lot of just blank. My world shattered. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't work. I couldn't be a functioning human. I just didn't care about anything without him. He was the most important person in my life, but I didn't know he ever had thoughts like that. Was I really that good of a friend if I didn't know? If I wasn't there for him? The sadness, the guilt, the living without him. It's almost been a year. I still struggle. Had to take 2 days off last week because I just couldn't pull myself together. So I guess I'm still living in my darkest times. The one that literally felt like it lasted for 2 years and left me utterly shocked after I woke up. I thought I was a prisoner for what felt like 2 years. I was in my grandma's old house, tied to a metal table and surrounded by decaying people that had been prisoners way before me. I finally managed to escape after lying there for 2 whole years, and then I woke up. I questioned my whole reality afterwards, and the scariest feeling was having a dream that started the exact same way as that one. Except this time my family was with me. It was terrifying. When I was around the age of 8, I was forced to watch the movie The Grudge by my older sisters, and it gave me nightmares for weeks. But there is one that I can still picture clearly to this day, because of how much it didn't feel like a dream, but it felt real. I experienced pain in this dream, so it started off with me in my room playing with toys, and then I went to grab a new toy out of my toy box, and that's when I saw her face. It was the Grudge's face in my toys, and it slowly started to crawl out. But as it did so eventually, I realized, as it got closer and touched more things, that everything was turning into her flesh, the same pale blue flesh she was made of. and it wasn't slow, it was very quick, and soon I was completely surrounded by her flesh. My walls were flesh, my bed, my toys. I ran into my bathroom, where I thought I would be safe in the dream, and then, all of a sudden, the mirror turned black, and she walked through it, and the bathroom became flesh, and she reached out to me, and this is when I felt pain before she even touched me. I felt an intense chest pain, and then she grabbed me, thrusting through my chest, lifting me, and walked me out to my living room and sat me down as she touched my family and made me watch them turn into the grudge/flesh that she was and basically become possessed. This was an often repeated nightmare for a while when I was younger, and I felt that pain till even after I woke up for a few minutes whenever it happened. Not wait staff, but I used to work front desk at a hotel. One Valentine's Day, I was working the night shift, and this woman comes down with a cut above her eye, looking like she just went a few rounds in the ring with a boxer. Woman starts sobbing and asks us to call the clues, which we do immediately. Turns out this girl's boyfriend just beat the shit out of her during a fight, and from what I could tell, this probably wasn't the first time. So after the cops show up and haul the dude off, my manager offers her a different room on comp, as we need to leave the guy's stuff where it is for him to pick up the next day. She accepts, and I go up with the woman to help her collect her stuff and move to the new room. There were a bunch of bottles of alcohol in the room, and she donated them to the front desk staff. I got a bottle of Hypnotic and some vodka. Manager got a bottle of Patron. Cherry on top of everything. The dude's wife called later that night saying someone had stolen his card as he was out of town on a business trip. Never one to defend an abuser. I told her where she could find her husband. Fun times. I was a delivery driver for a fruit bouquet company, and I had 2 arrangements from the same guy. Routes were made for me, and the truck was loaded, so there was no way I could mess this up. Delivered both arrangements to the appropriate address. I headed back to the store to find the store owner and the guy who sent these in an argument. This idiot put the wrong name to the houses, and it was on the card with the arrangement, along with the phone numbers. So both women called each other and then called the guy. He tried to say it was my fault. Then the person who took the order, he ordered it online. All we did was import the order. I hate Valentine's Day because of that place, but man, was that great. It's taken me a while to realize that no one is coming to save you or help you. There is no Calvary. If you don't do it, it is not getting done. People, even the ones in your life, are all busy to care about what is happening to you. They will say, OMG, that's terrible, or man, I can't believe that, but at the end of the day, if it didn't directly affect them, it's instantaneously forgotten as soon as they leave your presence. It's just you. Learn to be our own warrior. My childhood. It was all in the same storage locker, too. I'm turning 39 this year and have been clinically depressed and had ADHD for 30 years. I just discovered ketamine and psychedelic therapy, which has given me my life back. Not before I had to empty this storage unit, though. Depression Brain got all the photographs, magic cards, and meaningful books and stuff, but not the Nintendo 64, the DS, the SNES, the NES, the Genesis, or any of the games. I left my DBZ wall scroll and all my art and schoolwork from school. A few weeks ago, I was cleaning out stuff around the house, now that I am starting to feel like a normal person again. I opened up an often unused entertainment center to go through it, and the first thing that greeted my eye, almost as if placed there for me to see in this state, was the cartridge for Star Fox 64. I lost it. I was so mad at myself for throwing away my childhood and letting all that shit go, especially for throwing away all those potential shared experiences with my daughter. It kills me just thinking about it. Never make emotional decisions while depressed if you can avoid it. My childhood self deserved to be remembered and I threw him away. Old Ben.